Welcome to the Energy Upgrade podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa, master biohacker and successful entrepreneur.
Your time is now. Your energy is your life force. You want to be able to magnetize your wildest dreams. You can and you will.
Welcome back to the Energy Upgrade. This is Vanessa Gretman, your host, and today I have such a fantastic conversation in store for you. I am receiving no other than Kathleen Cameron, a fellow Canadian who is a success, life, and manifestation coach like no other, an 8-figure entrepreneur, and a record-breaking author. What is so interesting is that Kathleen was a registered nurse, and that's how she built her first round of leadership, if you will. And then she left that in 2019. At the time, she was heavily involved in network marketing, and that's really what allowed her to take the leap and start deciding how she would really build this new business. And since she has started the Diamond Academy coaching back in January 2020, and she has impacted more than 100 people, and she's helped them attract more love, money, and success into their lives with her determination, her unwavering faith that you're going to hear about, and the powers of manifestation. Her innovative approaches to manifestation and utilizing the laws of attraction have led to the creation of one of the top global success networks, which is the Diamond Academy Coaching. You will see that she is so vibrant, so alive. She is just embodying this frequency of love for herself, for others, for everything that she is doing. And this conversation was just so beautiful and juicy. I loved every minute of it. Now you have to know, she also wrote a book called Becoming the One. And that book launched in August 2021, and it became an international bestseller in 5 countries on the first day. I don't know about you, but I had never heard of that before. So she is a powerhouse. She is a beautiful soul. And I'm so glad she is here with us today to talk about manifestation, about love, about wealth, all the things. So buckle up, my friends. This is a beautiful one. Let's go. Kathleen, welcome to the Energy Upgrade. It is such a pleasure to have you with me here today.
Oh, I'm so blessed to be here. And I always say that everything happens just so divinely. So this conversation, God led me to you and here we are chatting. So
yeah, literally. We found each other on social media. And I always say social media is not all that bad. And here's another proof again today. You reached out, you saw one of my ads out of all things, and you're like, I love this branding. Tell me more.
Yeah, I loved it.
We started connecting that way, which is incredible. So it is also a big pleasure for me to have this conversation because I trust that it's going to take us in a very exquisite place. And for people who don't know you, maybe we could start with the very, very beginning of you, because it just blows my mind to think that you were a registered nurse because your embodiment now today is like nothing like probably the version of you from those years. So I'd love to hear your evolution recently.
Oh gosh, yeah, of course. No, 5 years ago, I was a completely different woman, and I was the same woman, but I believed I was different. Let's say that. The really interesting thing was, when I decided to quit my nursing career, that was such a powerful act of faith. And I was in network marketing at the time, and so I went, okay, I'm going to put all my energy over there, and it's sure to grow. And then it didn't really happen that way. Everything started to kind of go a bit backwards after I quit, and and it was like, oh no, what do I do? What do I do? And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna dig into mindset. I think that's what I need. And I don't know why I thought that or where it came from, but it was just like, this is what I'm gonna do. So not long after that, I end up on a free training somewhere on Facebook, a mindset training, and I got introduced to Bob Proctor, started learning from him. He's from the movie The Secret. He's also Canadian. He lived in Thornhill, actually, just north of Toronto. And I started learning from him, and immediately I was like, wow, this is magical. and my life started to change. My business was growing. I started recruiting, selling more. I started manifesting money and giveaways and prizes, and like everything started to just show up for me. I would write it down and it would happen. And so I started teaching the material. So January of 2020, I launched my coaching business alongside Bob first. So I licensed one of his courses and coached and facilitated one of his programs for a little while, and then branched out into all my own intellectual property and all of my own courses and programs. But we've made a significant impact in the past 4 years, and several people see the money, the millions of dollars. I think we're just about, if we haven't hit it yet, we'll be at 30 million in the past 4 years.
Oh my
And
gosh.
people see the money and it's like, they want that. It's like a shiny,
Yep.
fancy thing. But I have to say though, it's the transformation that happened in order for me to become a woman that could hold the space and the energy and the vibration of 30 million. And so there was a lot of energetic work, a lot of self-concept and identity work, a lot of shifting in who I'm being in every moment to match to her. And so I'm super grateful, but there's a lot of self-love. There's a lot of understanding myself and self-awareness, and also trust in God and the universe, source, energy, whatever language you like to use. I'm super inclusive with that. I use the God language, but I believe in my oneness and I direct source energy with my thoughts every single day. And I'm grateful for that skill that I learned starting in 2019.
Oh my gosh, what where do we take this from now? This is amazing. Okay, I'm just curious as I hear you speak. I do want to go back to holding the vibration of 30 million, but first I want to know a little bit more about this, like your own flavor of manifestation, because of course
Yeah.
it's everywhere, everybody talks about it.
Yep.
And I'd love to really hear you speak about your own point of view on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's taken a little while for me to really formulate like what my philosophy is and the way that I see it. And everything I do is from experience. So I try not to teach from books, but to teach from the ways in which I've embodied information and then experienced it in my life. And so it's a lot of like looking back at like what has happened, what has occurred, what have I shifted, what have I changed, and what did that do for my outside 3D world? So what I've really summed it up to be, I used to say spirituality meets peak performance, but I've changed that because I don't want to be a peak performer.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's
Yeah.
actually about growth, personal growth. So now I say my manifestation philosophy is spirituality meets personal growth and development. So yes, I'm going to connect to spirit. I'm going to become in spirit. I'm going to have spiritual practices and all that kind of stuff. But I'm also going to personally grow and develop every single day. My own self-awareness of who I am is actually the main focus of every single day. Most people are living without, I'm living within. So I'm in a period right now, I'm not reading any books, listening to any podcasts. I'm not studying human design. Like I am inside.
And
And so
what
when
does
I
that
am in,
look like?
that means a lot of self-reflection, introspection. It's being with my own thoughts. It's going on awareness walks. So I go outside and I just walk with myself.
Yep.
It's listening. It's paying attention. It's being open to receive. It's a lot of trusting my intuition and doing things from that place. Yeah.
Yeah.
So not so much looking for the outside world to validate me, but just validating myself.
Yeah. And it's important to really talk about this embodiment piece, because I think this is what has burnt the coaching industry so much in the past, right? We have these people telling you what to do, but they can't even do it for themselves. And I love that you're using, introspection and looking back at your own life and connecting the dots, like Steve Jobs was saying, really being like,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute, when I did that and this, it actually worked. So
Yeah.
this is the
It's
best.
so beautiful. And I think um, I used to be somebody that would seek information outside of myself. So I would read more books and I would take more courses and I would do this and I would do that. And what I actually realized is that I thought I was missing something. Like I thought I didn't know something. I thought that somebody else could give me that. And when I really, really realized that it's actually within me, the seeking of information now is a want, not a need. So like when I do want to read a book, it's like, oh, that book looks good. I'm going to read it. Not, I'm going to read this book because this book is going to change me and it's going to help me and it's going to give me the secret. It's like, it's all already here.
Yeah, it doesn't come from the limiting belief that you are broken, that something needs to be fixed. right? That's often what I see. And I'm sure that as a result, you're attracting women that are also in that phase in their life where they're not looking for a savior to come and fix them, but rather they understand that all they need is to awaken to the power within.
Absolutely. And one thing that I always say is like it's not the course or the program that's going to change you. It's going to be the work that you do inside through being alongside me and being in my energy. So it's not anything that I have that you're going to gain from me, but it's simply just a roadmap that I provide you to find and remember who and what you really are. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go back to, well, we'll talk about wealth because I know this is like something that's a big topic for you. And here, Canadians, it's something like, I don't know, I just feel like it's something that is still so taboo. And I just believe it's important to show and to inspire women that it's
Yep.
possible. But you said something about, everybody wants to make 30 millions or everybody wants to make a million or 10 or whatever, how many millions. But
Yep.
we also need to grow our capacity to hold and receive that, which is what you said. And it's so true. And I'd love to hear how, because I mean, I'm sure you got your first million and then you grew to like, where did you feel like it got stuck maybe for a while? Or where did you feel you had to do the biggest work?
Yeah. So I'll just touch about what that means to me to be able to hold the energy of 30 million. So in order for you to be open to receive that amount of money, you have to also be okay with losing that amount of money. Like you have to be okay with the flux, the contrast, the change that's going to happen in your life when you start to hold that much. And so some people want to make $100,000 a month in their business, but they aren't open to receive it because they haven't set up the structures in place to be able to manage and to deal and to do. So for example, you want to make 100,000 a month in your business, but you don't even want to spend 5,000 on an upgrade of your website. Like
Yeah.
it actually doesn't compute if you think about it. So it's really like being the version of you that has what it is that you desire. What kind of decisions would they make? How would they think? How would they feel? How would they behave? How would they show up? But the biggest shift for me, actually, it was so interesting. By the time 2022 rolled around, I'd done over 20 million in revenue. And the business was just absolutely booming. And I had turned my focus upon loving myself and the woman that I was in my body. So I stopped shaming myself, guilting myself for being plus size. And I just said, you know what? Plus size is not a bad thing. I'm just going to decide that being in a larger stature body is my superpower. And so here we go. I'm going to inspire the world and show all of these women in larger bodies just what they can do. And so I did that. And January of 2022 rolled around and there was a little bit of disconnect. And what I mean by that is like my own consciousness was like, well, hold on, Kathleen. Like, yes, you can love yourself no matter what your body looks like, but are you treating your body with love? And what I realized was that I wasn't. So I was drinking alcohol. I was never moving my body. I was eating fried foods, processed foods. I was just doing things that a woman who believed she was healthy would not do. And a woman that absolutely loved herself would not do. And so I decided that January of 2022 was going to be my year of health. So I had the word health for 2022. I started walking every morning. April of 2022, I ended up in the hospital with pneumonia and had to go have lung surgery in May 10th of 2022. I was in the ICU, had a chest tube. My lung was the size of a quarter. Okay, for Americans, that's 25 cents. I don't know if they call it quarters in America. But it was completely trapped and I had to have emergency lung surgery to retrieve it. But it was so beautiful because I got what I asked for. I asked for greater health. And God provided me with an opportunity to show myself my healing abilities, to show me to have faith and trust in God and that I would be okay and everything would be fine. And then it gave me an opportunity to step into a healthy version of myself. So now I'm loving myself to find the best of myself through healthy behaviors. And like, listen, I'm past the point of like, I need to be perfect. For me, it's like, if I can treat my body 80 to 90% of the time healthy, and then I make a choice in love to eat something that I don't consider healthy or take a day off without exercising, no pressure, no harm, no foul. I'm just existing as this healthy woman now. So that was my biggest growth, was actually to realize that I didn't believe that I was health. And so in order to switch to health, I've now flourished in more ways. So I call it like my journey of becoming the wholeness of who I am. And so, yeah, I had all the money, and yeah, I loved myself and I loved my body, and life was really good, but I could have been a little bit more whole. And so I became a little bit more whole now in terms of adding that extra piece of like true health for myself now.
And that wholeness allowed you to go to the next level, even in terms of wealth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, because if you think about it, right? Like, what is wealth? It's different than health. So some people who say that health is wealth, I'm like, well, okay, you're basically saying you're okay with just being healthy and not wealthy. So I want to be healthy and wealthy. I think we can have that experience, and I want to increase the capacity for both. So now for me, it's like, there's this effortlessness now to the wealth. There's actually this care that I take of myself. I rest, I recover, I work out, I eat nutritiously, I do things like yoga and more meditation and things like that, from a standpoint of like, I'm thriving and not because I think I should do them. So it allowed me to release a lot of the heaviness that lies in the pressure and the guilt and the shame that we have for, well, you should be better, Kathleen, or you should look better, or you should get up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym every morning. No, I don't want to, and I don't have to. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a billionaire who like never gets up before 7 and 8.
I love it. I'm not a morning person either. Like, I will never say like, you got to wake up at 4. I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't work with me. And if it works with you, great. But I love that you're basically putting the lens of love for everything, whether it is money, whether it is your health, whether it is your spirituality, whether it is your body. I love how you said, did you say weight neutral?
Weight neutral health journey. Yeah. What I was actually finding, Vanessa, you'll know this for a little bit from healthcare, but like even in my healthcare days and as a nurse, we would say to people like, okay, well, you need to lose weight to be more healthy. And when I disconnected the idea of weight and health and let them be separate, so I can be 300 pounds and healthy. I can be 180 pounds and healthy. I can be 90 pounds and healthy. And so, the whole issue of body image, especially for us women, women in a plus size body will say, oh, well, it's hard to be fat. But then people that are in a thin frame body will say, well, people will say negative things like, I can see your ribs. And so all of us have that same idea. And it's the idea that our health and our weight are actually linked. So I removed it. Now I'm on a weight neutral health journey. So I don't have a scale. I threw it out. The last time I was at the doctor, I know I've released over 100 pounds, but I don't really care. Like, the number doesn't mean anything. What actually means something is the woman that I've become in order to take care of my body in this way. And I love her and I want her to last a long time. I'm not doing it because I think she's bad. Like before, like every other time in my life, it's always been a punishment.
Exactly. Yeah. You get to do this. It changes everything.
Yeah, it really does.
Are you on your journey back to you? Are you trying to cultivate more energy, more wealth, more heart, more alignment in your body, your mind, your soul? If so, that's exactly why I have created the Soul and Wealth Club. This club is a sacred membership for women who are ready to heal their bodies, their mind and soul in order to live a life of purpose with more ease and flow. Now, the intention of this club is really to offer you a space where you can be in the energy of healing. You can be in the mindset of expansion. You can be and tap into the energy of possibilities once a month during our 2-hour virtual retreat, as well as ongoing messages that I will send you every single week with some deep activations also that you can do as meditations to anchor the knowledge. But really my goal with this space is to help you create aligned actions and momentum in your life, in your business, in your relationships, so that you can feel yourself expanding. There's nothing worse than the status quo in these days and age. We are each responsible for our own healing, our own growth and evolution.
And so I have created this membership, this space where you can come in and tap in, be in a high proximity container surrounded by women who are all on the same journey so that you can really level up. You can really live this life of your dreams. You can co-create with me, with the woman in there, with the universe. And so that this club, the Soul and Wealth Club, can become your sisterhood, a place where you can not only rediscover yourself, but also feel supported doing so. Women are designed to heal and rise together. And so this place is for sure the place you've been craving. This is the room you need to be in to reach new levels of transformation. And the club is available at only $222 a month with a minimum of 3-month commitment, only because I want you to feel this energy for at least 3 consecutive months in order to feel a true shift in your life. And let me tell you, from the feedback and the comment of the women in the urn there, it's incredible. We are creating magic every single day. And this is, I can tell you, this is the room you need to be in if you're wanting to expand and rise this year. The link is in the show notes, and you can always DM me if you have any questions. I hope to see you there. All you have to do is signing and you'll be in. I hope to see you there.
When you said you released the link between, because let's face it, whatever it is, here in this case, it's the number on the scale, we make it mean something about us, right? And that's the trap about anything, about an emotion, about a situation, a circumstance, a quote unquote failure, quote unquote success. We always make it mean something about us. And
Totally.
I'm curious about, because you said I disconnected health and weight. And I'm curious how you teach to do this. I mean, it goes back to embodiment, but how you teach this, like disconnecting, because it's easier said than done, let's face it.
Mm-hmm. You know, one of the things that I did first that was so fun was, when I was on my journey before, when I got out of hospital, they wanted me to track it. So I was using the scale and I was tracking it. And I would see the numbers and they would impact me. So if the scale would go up one week, I would have a feeling about it. If it would go down the next week, I would have a feeling about it. I would be happy about it. And then if the number didn't go down enough, I would have a feeling about it. So I was noticing that it wasn't actually the number that meant anything, but it was the reaction that I was having to the number that was impacting me and my mood and the way that I was showing up. And if we know manifestation, then we know that if we just be who we desire to be, the outside world will match it. So if I am health and I love myself in every way, shape, or form, the number will eventually just reflect whatever that means to me. But it's just a measuring tool, but I was reacting to the measurement. So what I actually did first, and what I have a lot of people do, is change it from whatever metric you're used to that makes sense to you, change it to the other one. So I have no idea what kilograms means, but I know what pounds means, like in my head. Like 200 pounds, holy crap, I would have a reaction to that. 300 pounds, I would have a reaction to that, because the world has told me what that means and that it's bad or that it's wrong. But when I switched it over to kilograms and it was like 69.1, I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like, it doesn't mean a thing to me. So, okay, so I started being neutral to the number. And then I was like, wow, I just released this whole thing. So it's the same thing with money and watching our bank accounts.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're watching your bank account and you're having a reaction to what you're seeing in your bank account, even if it's a good one or a bad one, your vibration is being impacted by the outside world. Stop watching it, or change the currency. It's the same thing. Yeah. But those are little tricks that I do to make my mind remain neutral to the outside world, is to just change the meaning of what it is.
Wow. Okay, I'm curious, have you ever changed the currency of your bank account?
Well, our bank account goes between two, right? So we have Canadian bank accounts and we have USD bank accounts. But what I have done before is I've gone and calculated it into pounds so that it feels different. And then one time I actually converted it into rupees, and then it felt really abundant, because rupees is like very, very different, very, very different.
Oh my goodness. I love that.
It allows you to remain neutral, because all it is the meaning. Like, that's the biggest thing, is like, it's whatever that number means to you that creates the outcome.
This meaning piece is so important. So I'm glad we talked about that because
Yeah.
it comes and like sneaks in everything in
Everything.
relationship, in parenting, in how how we attract new clients, how it's everything because it's always related to what we make it mean about us.
Oh, for sure. And you know what's another really good one is marriage and divorce. So in February of 2022, separated from my husband at the time. And we'd been together for 17 years. And I remember journaling about what this means for me. And I talked to somebody on a call once, and she said something about how she has a failed marriage. Oh my gosh, there's a beautiful butterfly right at my window right now, which is my spirit sign. Hello. Hence, I'm wearing
Hello.
the butterfly necklace. But she said to me, I have a failed marriage. And when she said it, I was like, whoa, why do we believe that? Like, why is getting married and then deciding to no longer be married to that person a failure? Society has taught us that, but is that the truth is that the truth of it? No, it's not. And I would venture to say that most divorces actually end up better off than they were before. So in all respects, it's not a failure at all, but could be interpreted as a success. So for me now with I don't even like to call him my ex, my business partner, the father of my beautiful babies, our relationship just transitioned to a new form. And I actually believe that the new form is better off for both of us. So I do believe it's a success, it's an ascension, it's an expansion. But you have to give that meaning to your own experience. Like, you can't listen to what other people say.
Ugh, right? The outside noise. But like you said, it's back to you, back to your truth.
Always.
And I ask this question to my clients all the time also. Is that the truth? Is that the truth about you? And not with your head, but with your heart. And often it's like, no, okay, well, why are we talking about this then?
And you know what I always say? Okay, according to who? Like, who
Mm-hmm.
says?
Mm-hmm.
Because then you realize, well, no, it's not like anybody says. It's just that's the way that it is. And then you realize, who says? Well, me. Because I believe it to be true, I now am creating that reality. So I'm the one who says. So let's not think that way anymore.
Boom.
Yeah.
Um, you said something about I'm just trying to remember exactly the words you said.
Okay.
Jeez. But about like the basically laws of attraction. And I'd love to, if you had like one place that you help, let's say your women entrepreneur with, like what is usually the first thing that you're noticing gets in the way when it comes to like law of attraction or,
Mm,
yeah.
I would say looking backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that everything starts in the mind. So everything is psychological and then it becomes physical. So we know thoughts into things. It's the perpetual transmutation of energy. You can't fight it, it's physics. So all of our thoughts will eventually become something. But what we also have to understand, though, then is from the day that we plant the seed in the mind, in the womb of creation, which is the subconscious mind, we are going to observe it after. And so when you are, let's say, for example, today you launch your business and yada, yada, and then you go and you look at your bank account and there's nothing in your bank account, you're essentially looking backwards because you're
Mm.
looking at the bank account that existed of Vanessa 2 months ago before you did all the transformative work. So I really never look backwards. I am always looking forwards and present forward. So that's the spirituality meets personal growth and development. It's how can I be in the now and be present and to experience this human experience in front of me, but how can I be thinking psychologically from an imaginative space, which is the future that I'm going to bring into the physical. So that's why I say most people are looking backwards. You're hoping to see right now a shift in your results, and you can't do that. So you have to be okay with being in the in-between. I always say I'm so good at that. I thrive in the in-between
You do?
because yes, because we're always in between something. So as
Yes.
soon as I reach one goal, I'm going to create another one, and then I'm going to create another one. So I'm always in this in between phase, and I'm very aware of when I'm in it. And I'm like, yeah, it feels good to be here. I'm okay. You know what, universe, you can keep me here as long as you want. I prefer it right now, but I don't need it to be anytime. And so I let God take his responsibilities, which is the how and the when, and then I just take care of mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so true that we are very impatient. And I think there's a lot of programming into that, right? That's how we've been taught to, we do
Oh,
something,
yes.
we expect a
Yeah.
result. We do something, we expect a result. But like you said, we have to factor in the transformation that comes into play and the planting of the seeds. And the in between, I guess, is also this time where infinite possibility can happen, right? So this
Mhm.
in between is also where you can be surprised.
Well, and I do believe I read somewhere that like 95% of your manifestation is actually done behind the scenes before you ever observe it. And that
Mm.
belief, like believing that idea, whether that's truth or not, it does not matter. I made it my truth. And so when I made that my truth, now I'm like, oh, it's all here and it's happening. 95% of it is done. And now all I have to do is observe it. And so in the moments where it doesn't look like it's here, I'm like, oh no, but there's all this work. The bridge of incidents is unfolding. That's a Neville Goddard language. But like literally, the universe is aligning in ways that you cannot see. And so when you're looking backwards and saying, well, where is it? I can't see it. It's not showing up for me. It's not working. My manifestation isn't here. You're actually just going back to an old version of yourself and slowing things right down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So trust, really, right? It
Well,
comes
yeah.
down to this trust, even in the unknown, even when we don't have the evidences yet, just sticking to this truth that we know about us, this vision, this mission, or I don't know how you call it, but this one thing that keeps us moving forward.
Oh, yeah. And I'm so good at building stories. So I'll create like a next level identity. And then I'll be like, okay, so let's look around at the world and how can I create a story of all the ways in which it's showing up for me right now? And
Mm.
so when I do that, I'm literally building the idea in my mind that it's already here, it's already done, I'm already her, and all I have to do is just keep showing up as this version. And look, the evidence is everywhere. So it's like spirit signs, it's the butterfly in the window, like it's everything. It's like, oh, well, I got introduced to you because there must be divine purpose. It must mean that this connection is going to lead to this. And so I do build and create stories all the time that serve me. And then I tell myself that story, and guess what? We manifest from our stories. So it hasn't failed me yet.
Oh my gosh, I love this. I love this idea of creating stories. I had not heard it like this before, but I guess some of us do that intuitively without really realizing it, but I love
Yep.
to
Yep.
bring intention to it.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
I
It
remembered
works.
what I wanted to say when you talked about, failed marriage and whatnot. Really being also okay with the fact that when you are in union with yourself, when you remember your truth, when you remember you are love, there's no such thing as failure,
Yeah.
right? I'd love to hear you on this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. One of my favorite books is A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. It was really, really life changing. And I read it actually just after the separation, probably 6 months after my separation, I read it. And you know what Marianne really, really believes, and I know that she took a lot of excerpts from A Course in Miracles. But what she really, really believed that is that we are either love or fear. We're not anything but one of those two things. And when you are in love, that is your highest connection point to God because God is love. So when you move yourself into a fear state and you allow yourself to observe the experience of fear, you've moved out of love. And so for me, everything is how can I do this in a loving perspective? Loving towards myself, loving towards others, loving towards the world as a whole, other people, and notice when I move into fear. And so
Yeah.
when we move into fear that says, you're not good enough, you don't know enough, you haven't achieved enough, the success isn't here, your manifestations aren't coming, recognizing that, oh, wow, I've just moved into fear right now is so good because the solution then is just to move yourself into love. So how can I go and express my love to somebody right now? How can I give myself validation and love in this moment? How can I love on my business more? This is one of the things that the majority of people that do come and find me that have their own businesses, what I often find when things are not going well in their business, they lose the love and gratitude that they have towards their business. And if
Mm-hmm.
you don't value something, if you don't love it, is it going to flourish? Is it going to grow? It's like you're no longer watering your garden. It's just going to, and I'm horrible at gardens. So like I have people that like do it. But I'm good at watering my mind garden, but just not the outdoor garden. But truly that's what it is. And so I always move people into a place of like, what has your business done for you? What do you love about it? What are you grateful for? Let's fall in love with the business again, and then fall in love with yourself, change the identity. And then people will literally change no single strategy in their business whatsoever, and they will 10x their results.
Mm.
Why? Because it's all about you and what you believe to be true. And you are the magic. You are the power anyways. So
Do
it
you
becomes easy.
see your business? I always say your business is alive. It has its own energy. Do you see that too? Like, oh, it's almost like you're in a relationship with your business.
So I have a tattoo on my ankle, and it's like I made it look like it's an anklet, and I have my two daughters' initials, and then I have a diamond for Diamond Academy. So I
Mm.
always say that this business is like my third daughter. Like I treat it with that level of nurturing, with love and respect, and it is my family. And so like even every single member of my team, I call them my family. And
Mm-hmm.
every single client that enrolls in any course or program or retreat, we welcome them to the Diamond Academy family. And it's because of that love that we have for what we do, for our business, for our team, and for our clients, that I think it really is flourishing. And I'm also at a place too where like I see the bigger and the greater calling here, and it's not about me or the money. And so like people hear me talk about the money, I'm like, I know, but you have to understand that I actually don't care about it. Like I desire it for sure. I'll set a money goal and I'll call that money in. Let's go. But I do that for the outcome of how many people's lives are impacted through that, not because I want to see a number in my bank account to make me feel good enough. It's not about that
Mm-hmm.
anymore. Yeah. So I've let a lot of ego go. I use my ego for good, for sure. But the parts of it that keep me small, keep me limited, I've released a lot of it.
And how?
It's such a beautiful self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I love the ego. I think we have an idea of what the ego is, and so many people think that the ego is a bad thing. Even the language of ego stands for edging God out. Okay, we have an ego because God gave us that ego. It's actually part of who we are, and it is one of the most powerful tools that you have. And when you can learn to control it, to have a soul-led ego versus a human-led ego, you
Mm.
will see magic happen in your life. So I love the language of personal mind, and I started using personal mind for a while because I wanted to stop reacting to the word ego.
Mm.
People think ego is like a big head, but like the personal mind, the ego is when you make something about you. It's truly when you make it about you. So you say something to me, I make it about me. You're upset with somebody or you don't come to my party and I make it about me when you're sick in bed. Like we do this all the time. So I truly have tapped into the ability to notice and observe my ego when it's productive versus non-productive, when I'm taking things personal and making it about me, and when I'm allowing it to be about others. So for example, a soul-led use of the ego was the first vision board I created.
Mm.
That vision board with, it said $2 million. I had a hot tub, a Louis Vuitton purse, a new MacBook, like every single thing on that vision board I have, it's done. Like, and I did it within maybe 7 or 8 months. And what's so cool about that though, was I used the ego, making it about me and what I was going to benefit from, to build a coaching academy that has served over 100,000 people and changed so many lives. And so to me, yes, the ego can be very good and it can be very controlled, but you have to know when your ego is not being productive. I actually have a little joke. I say, my clients will know this. I say my human is out. So like if I'm in my ego, I'm taking something personal, I'm offended, I'm angry, I'm insulted, I'm frustrated, my human's out right now. And so I let my human have the full experience because we can't cut off from it. We have to feel all the feelings. But then I'm like, okay, how can I move back into the soul's perspective? How can I go back into a higher level of awareness? And how can I guide my ego towards good instead of for evil? Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm curious as I look at you, Kathleen, CEO of this almost $30 million business to date. I'd love to know, what are your days looking like?
Okay. People will be surprised, and it took me a long time to be okay with saying this, because the world wants you to earn it, wants you to work really, really hard, and wants you to have a really tough life, to prove that you're worth that.
Yep.
But I work probably 3 days a week. I will not take more than two to three Zooms in a row. So this is my last one for today. My assistant knows I don't want to take any more than that. I work part-time in my business. I travel anywhere around the world anytime. And when I do more intensive experiences, I also do intensive spa days alongside it. I do intensive rest and recovery. So yeah, people think I should be working like a crazy person, but I don't think I need to. I think I can create a really beautiful life that is balanced. Like, I'm going to the dentist after this. I won't work again today. And Thursday, I'm not going to the spa all day. Friday, I have lashes and laser. I know.
I love it.
Yeah.
No, but I actually, that's why I asked you, because I had a feeling, and this is the paradigm shift. This is exactly the conversation that people need to hear, because I come from hustle, grind, and burnout. And I know that that's only going to help you tap into the limited version of yourself. And so what we're talking about here is just to remove the cap. And to do that, you need to be a little bit more in that. I'm sure that even when you have your lashes done, you probably are still in creation mode. Like, you never really let go of that relationship you have with your business. You always have her on the mind, just like you have your daughters on the mind.
Yeah.
But you're in a different space. You're more receiving, creating, right?
Well, yeah. And it's a newer awareness too. And I was just talking to my one-on-one clients before this about it, and she's getting to this place now. So it was really beautiful for us to have the synergy. But she's like, somebody asked me the other day, Kathleen, like, what do you do to connect to your oneness? What do you do to manifest? How often do you visualize? And how often this and how often that? And she's like, and you know what I told them? I connect to my oneness when I wake up and be connected. Like, I don't do something to be it. I just am it. And even with me, like, I don't sit down and play music and do a guided visualization anymore, because I exist in my imagination. So like, when I walk around in this world now, I'm walking around as the elevated, ascended, grandest version of myself as much as I possibly can. There are moments where I'll be aware, I'll be like, oh, that's an old version of me coming back. Interesting. Pivot and move. But it is this almost effortless existence of embodying what I do. And I do go back to, okay, if I was a novice again, what would I do? And I teach from that place. But I also now serve other individuals that are at this higher level of awareness that are like, okay, but I don't want to do that. And I'm like, we're not going to do that anymore. So that's why my coaching is very different based on where you are in your level of awareness and what you want to learn, and with some of my higher level coaching clients, these are like multi-millionaires, like $60 million income earners. It's about, ask for guidance this morning about what your morning routine should be. We're not going to do this rigid, mechanical, masculine, step-by-step morning routine. You're going to listen to God today and what God thinks that you should do. That would be the best thing to get you into that vibrational state that you need to be in. And so that's the true let and the surrender, is when you allow yourself to just be.
Yeah. You allow your intuition to take over. Yeah. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, so beautiful. Now, I want to honor your time. I know you're rushing to the dentist next, so I want to respect that. Can you tell us, where can people find you I'm sure they're all lit up right now. So where can they find you?
Yeah. So Instagram seems to be a place a lot of people like to find me. Kathleen Cameron Manifests. And then the YouTube, I changed my identity and my YouTube went viral. So that is growing rapidly and magically. And I'm so grateful for that. So I think it's also Kathleen Cameron Manifests on YouTube as well. And the Manifested podcast with Kathleen Cameron is on the YouTube. We actually stream it. And it's so beautiful, because when you realize that everything that you want is actually already manifested and all you have to do is match it, it makes this effortless, truly effortless.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for this rich conversation. We could have gone for hours, but I really appreciate everything you have given us here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I
You're
will
so
see you on the internet.
You're
Bye,
so
my love.
welcome. Thank you.
The information shared on this podcast is for information purposes only and doesn't provide any medical advice. Vanessa Grutman does not cure, diagnose, or treat disease. Please consult your physician before trying any new protocol or product.